And welcome back to the show. New York for Children's works to assist over 8,000 youth in foster care and to engage New Yorkers in the effort. The organization's goal is to support efforts to improve the well-being of youth in foster care through education, career development, the acquisition of life skills, and strengthening the child welfare system. Now, joining us to share more and provide further insight is the Executive Director of New Yorkers for Children, Saroya Friedman-Gonzalez. And Saroya, glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today.
So for someone who doesn't know about your organization.
So I would define New Yorkers for Children. We're an organization that is like a hybrid organization, and that half of our work is dedicated to direct scholarships and financial support to youth primarily in and aging out of the New York City foster care system. And then the other half of our budget and organization is dedicated to programs. We call them innovative programs, where we subgrant funds to community partners to carry out either programs that have promising practices or to test a type of a curriculum. So our work and our budget is really divided into those two areas.
Yeah, you do a lot of different things, and I know part of what you do is youth mentorship. So how do you go about the youth mentorship program?
So our youth advisory board, it's been around for well over a decade. It's a youth-led, meaning that every year there's annual elections, and young people between the ages of 18 and 26 can put their name in to get voted by their peers to various leadership positions. And that group meets monthly. Pre-COVID, it was at our offices. They would meet and they would define in their own agenda, often resource sharing, peer networking, and advocacy in the field of child welfare. However, somewhere around 2018, the young people really made it clear that they wanted more leadership development. So our team, along with the young people, identified a peer educator certification. And that really created our peer mentoring work. And so over the last couple years, over 100 young people have joined our youth peer mentoring program. About half have become certified. And this year, we are finally raised funding to actually hire a youth coordinator who is going to help lead that effort along with our youth academic advisor. And so it's really exciting. It's a wonderful program. The training is over 2.5 days to be a peer educator, but we are also partnering with another organization to actually co-create real curriculum that the young people can use kind of over an 8-week period to do a much deeper training for their peers. And so that's something that's in 2021 also about to launch to kind of deepen the mentorship and work that young people provide to their peers across the 26 agencies.
You talk about the 26 agencies. You have a huge footprint across the city. Talk to me a little bit about the citywide numbers.
So in terms of citywide, the citywide in terms of ACS has a little over 7,000 young people reported in foster care in 2020. Our organization doesn't, our programs are open to anyone in New York City coming out of foster care, but we typically serve pre-COVID, about 1,000 young people a year. And during COVID, our numbers increased to about 2,000. So we don't necessarily serve every single young person in foster care, but we do serve a large portion of them. And we open up our services to all 26 privately subcontracted agencies that are subcontracts of ACS, the Administration for Children's Services.
You talked a little bit earlier about scholarships and how you help with scholarships, particularly for those who are coming out. How beneficial is that to give people that lift when they're on their way out?
Oh my gosh, it's incredibly beneficial. And I think if you speak directly to the youth, they're in a better position to describe how impactful getting a scholarship is. But what we've learned over the years is that providing young people with a monthly stipend outside of perhaps funding that they might get to support their college education, it's a game changer. And we also make sure that the young people don't just get money and stipends, but they have a youth academic advisor who's a licensed mental health counselor who meets with them monthly, to just make sure what other challenges and obstacles are they facing and to provide additional support to them. So these scholarships are very impactful, and they really, our numbers show 90% of our young people re-enroll from one year to the next in college. For that, with the national statistics, it's quite remarkable. So that individualized support is helpful. And in addition, our young people have access to all of our youth development events that we offer, as well as other scholarship programs. They become part of our network and family.
Yeah. And as the question I've asked all throughout the course of the show, with COVID-19 being the huge thing that all of us had to pivot throughout this pandemic, talk to us about your organization and how you've had to make that transition, what it's been like for you.
It's been for starters, we had to very quickly move our services to remote. And for us, that began in early March when we really started to see what was happening. Since a lot of our transactions with the young people are payments, we quickly moved to an electronic payment system so the young people could receive cash through a transfer and not have to come into the offices. Although through the pandemic, we have kept our offices open at least a couple days a week because things like laptops and some of the young people would prefer to pick up a check. So that was also available to all of our young people. But we also, a lot of the counseling became, remote, as well as our monthly youth advisory board meetings. But the remarkable piece is that the attendance and participation skyrocketed to almost like 100%. We found that over the course of the pandemic, all of our scholars attended their monthly sessions with the academic advisor. We had record numbers of young people joining our monthly Zoom youth advisory board. And the feedback we're getting is that it's incredible to actually be able to join online because they don't have to do the travel time, which for students can be a lot. So it's been great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Get.
No, I wasn't going to say anything else except that we also do notice that the peer mentoring piece of the work has been, and the mental health kind of support. The need has really gone up during this pandemic. We're finding that it's really, really tough for our youth to, for this long to be isolated, and a lot of feelings of depression, anxiety, everything that you would imagine that any other young adult is facing, our young people are facing. So we've tried to increase the number of opportunities and types of topical workshops that we've been offering to the youth, just to kind of, make sure that they know people are there for them.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, nobody can prepare for it. I think that once we got into it, everybody the word that we've said is, it's kind of like building an airplane in the air. But yet, and still, a lot of people have been able to make the transition. Before we go, talk to us a little bit about what we can expect happening in the near future.
Well, in the near future, the one thing that before we move into the near future, I realize that it's really important to share the outside of the emotional need, the financial need. We nearly tripled the number of applications and also expanded the criteria for who could apply for emergency grants. And I just so much funding went out the door for real crises that our youth were facing, particularly those that had aged out of the foster care system, and particularly young parents. Almost 40% of the young people that were asking for emergency cash assistance had one or more young child under 5 in their home, and they were unemployed and not connected to school or work. So that was something that really changed during COVID. We've always primarily focused on students, and we expanded who we served. And we've served almost, close to over 2,000 youth and families throughout COVID, and gave out almost $1.7 million in cash directly to young people. while also operating our programs. But what we can expect in the future is that so long as we have the resources, we are going to continue to support young people. We feel like we're one of the only organizations that's citywide, open to any young person coming, either aging out or in foster care, and we will continue to serve young people as we can. And the other thing you can expect is that our work and our programming, how we define it and design it, is going to come through direct feedback from the youth. Our youth advisory board is a really powerful group of young people. And so you can expect that our work is going to reflect what the young people want, not what we, feel that they should have. And so we are connecting regularly with our youth to make sure that the resources we offer are in direct connection to what they need.
Saroya, we have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us here on Open.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to share about New Yorkers. Appreciate it.
Yes. So we want to tell people for more information, you can visit the website at newyorkersforchildren.org. Also follow them on Facebook and Instagram at New Yorkers for Children. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We still have more Open. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back right after this.